Asian people come from Africa. We've been telling you that. We've been telling you that.
Yeah.
Chinese just came out last month. One of the top geneticists in China who now stated that their first ancestor in China was an African, and every Chinese carries the DNA. The East Indians have already done this.
这是菜咸蛋呢，味儿可以吧？好，可以，挺好吧？哎呀，这我大爷啊，大爷特别好钓鱼。
今儿真拿风钓鱼的吗？
It's not hard. It's not hard for me as a Chinese person to admit that I came from melanin. The original Chinese, just like the original of everybody, were dark-skinned melanated beings. For all the people I've been fighting the past few weeks, there is 1% of natives that will come out and say, hey, yeah, we know. It's in our history. 1%. And really, did I not have to tell you? Because a lot of y'all are in denial, so it felt like I have to tell you.
Hello family, how are you doing? I hope you're all feeling amazing today. I have something very powerful to share with you, a hard truth that might shock some of you. And this is the kind of revelation that people rarely talk about. And for some, it might even be uncomfortable or make them a little angry, especially for Asians who have never considered themselves connected to Black ancestry, or for the Asians who don't associate with Black people or don't love Black people, you know. This might be a lot to take in. Now, before we even go further, yes, we know that all humans ultimately trace their origin back to Africa. But today we are focusing on a more specific story, the early population in Asia, whose ancestry is deeply connected to Africa. So first of all, we're going to take a look at what's happening, see how people are reacting, and hear what they are saying.
You to say the first Chinese may have been Black, you just erased your own people and history and gave the Wabos the history. You have no honor. So first of all, I just had to Google Wabo, and it means wannabe aboriginals. Make of that what you will.
You may be wondering, were there even blacks in China? And the answer to that is yes. There were indeed blacks in ancient China. The skeletal remains from southern China are predominantly Negroid. In northern China, the blacks founded many civilizations. The three major empires of China was the Jia dynasty, the Shang Yin dynasty, and the Zhao dynasty. The Zhao dynasty was the first dynasty founded by the Mongoloid people in China, called the Hua. Chinese civilization began along the Yellow River. Here the soil was fertile, and black Chinese farmers grew millet 4,000 years ago, and later soybeans. They also raised pig and cattle. By 3500 BC, the blacks in China were raising silkworms and making silk.
Black people, they don't want you to believe that. They don't want you to know who you are because you're Indian. Not those type of Indians. The ones in America. Not in the 7-Elevens. In the reservations. You were indigenous to this land. And you own this promised land. But they don't want you to know that.
Black people, they are the aboriginals of every continent. Dark-skinned people are the aboriginals of every continent. Native Americans migrated over the ice bridge from Siberia, that would be Asia, and became what we now know as Native Americans. Yes, they lived off the land. Yes, they knew how to give back to it, so therefore they should be considered indigenous. But the people who were on that land before them and the ice bridge even formed were black people. Black people also built pyramids on every continent. That's why there are pyramids on every continent. The Buddha was a dark-skinned man. The Chinese, we have a lot of trouble denying that we come from melanin. We do. We've tried. We have not succeeded. The difference between us and every other group is that we can admit to the fact that we came from melanin. Why can't everybody else? It's not erasure to say that black people were the aboriginals of every country. We're not saying you didn't exist. We're saying you came after. What's so hard to understand? Just like me saying that Koreans came from China. It's not me saying that they don't have their own culture. That's how all of these Korean nationalists took it in my comments. Oh, you're saying we don't have our own culture or genetic identity? No, I'm saying that culture and genetic identity came from us. If you are not tapped in, and you don't talk to marginalized groups, and haven't spent any time with them, y'all gonna be offended by what I'm saying.
China and Japan had black kings and dark-skinned women queens. Before they bleached the bloodline of the Meiji dynasty, you had the Kuru, the black kings. Yeah, look it up. Kuru means black, means king. Same word they use now for the black paint, it used to mean us. Ever heard of the Jomon? People with thick hair, dark skin and broad faces? They were the original islanders. Every archaeologist worth their student loan knows it. The bones don't lie, but the university paychecks do. Check the Toko University digs. They literally found Afro-texture hair impressions in ancient pottery. Receipts, baby. Then you add the Satsuma and the Ryukyu, nobles down in Okinawa. Darker than half your cousins on the funeral day in July. They traded with Africa and Indonesia before Europe could even spell ship. You want sources? Look at the Portuguese travel logs for the 1500s. They describe the rulers as brown and tattooed like Moors. And don't get me started on the black Buddhist monks coming from Sri Lanka and India. They're the ones who taught martial arts in China before Bruce Lee, the great master, could even became a thesis topic. Shaolin didn't start with no pale-balled action and kung fu movies. Go look up the Bodhi drama. He ain't white, he ain't this Asian. That man looked like he eat fufu for breakfast before they painted everybody pale and pretended we ain't never exist. The rulers of the East look more like your aunties and uncles after a hot summer day. These were the Jomon queens, Shang kings, Okinawa sea lords, black shogun, the Moorish monarchs who ran the Silk Road before silk even had a price tag. But then the Meiji boys got insecure. China started bleaching its history books. The Mongols got whitewashed, like they dropping a bucket full of baby powder. Everybody want to act like Asia been pale since Shah Dynasty. Lies. Before the erasure, Europeans were still writing about black nobles in Japan, calling them Moorish Asiatics, and drawing them with afros, broad noses, and rural kimonos.
Alright, let's break it all down. First of all humans ultimately trace their origin back to Africa. That's the foundation of human history. But today we are talking specifically about Black Asians, the early populations in Asia whose ancestry traces more directly to African roots and whose story is often overlooked. Now, genetic studies show that the first humans who migrated into South Asia and East Asia carried genes from Africa, and these genetic traces remain today. Over thousands of years, all these populations settled in Asia. They adapted to new climates, to new diet and environment. Their appearance changed, culture developed, but deep in their DNA, the story of Black Asian origin remains, and the existence of Black Asians challenges common assumptions about identity and history. And many people are shocked to learn about this. Some struggle with it because it does go against the narratives they've been taught, while others are fascinated to see how connected humanity really is. And it's not about modern racial categories. It's about understanding the first people who lived in Asia and their ancestral links to Africa. And scientists have traced these connections through mitochondrial DNA, Y chromosomes, and whole genome studies. They show that while appearances and cultures evolved over millennia, the African root of the first Asians, the Black Asians, remain an important part of human history. This discovery is powerful because it reminds us that identity and ancestry are more complex than we often think. And so Black Asians are a real part of history. And understanding their origin gives us a deeper appreciation of migration, of adaptation, and interconnectedness. So guys, with that said, what do you think about this? Were you surprised to learn about Black Asians and their African roots or not? Drop your thoughts in the comments below, and as always, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more powerful insights about the true story of human ancestry. And with that said, I'll see you guys in the next one.